Okay, well, thank you for coming back to the channel. Today I'm going to do a video of a little job that I found quite difficult, and I've realised after doing one of the two items that there's a much easier way of doing it. And the job I'm talking about is replacing and changing the barrels, the key barrels in the Ducati and Multistrada V4, Pikes Peak and V4 and V4S models, and changing the barrels. Now, I've bought some panniers off another bike. I've got the key for my bike, 3 keys, and I've got the 3 barrels that come with my bike, so I'm literally just converting them over. As is, I've got the keys for the original panniers, but I don't want to be carrying two keys around with me when I'm touring, so that's why I'm doing the job. So when I do any work which requires moving screws and bolts, I always use a piece of polystyrene, and I actually put the bolts and screws into this in a format representing where they came from and where they go back in. So just sort of spatially try and make the where I place the bolts in the polystyrene referenceable for when I go back to rebuild and reinstall. Okay, so just before I start, what's going to happen is I'm going to remove this heat shield. This is only on one side, so the other pannier that I've already done doesn't have that. There are 4 screws, little screws, 1, 2, 3, 4 in this black unit. I then go inside the pannier. Helpful if I unlock it. And what I'm going to do, removing the inner bags first, what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to remove, it's not come across here too well, but just let me get a quick light. So I'm going to remove bolts there, of which there are 1, 2, 3 bolts here, 1, 2, 3, 2 little screws, 1 and 2, 2 little screws, 1 and 2 here. So once all the screws are removed, you can just see here where this joint is. This is actually a cover, and this whole unit comes off, but you have to prise it off. It sort of clicks into place, and the last one I did took me quite a good few minutes trying to prise it off. It came off eventually, but you've got to be careful not to damage. That's the most difficult part of this. And then when I get this piece off, I'll show you what we do next. Okay, so I'm just going to start removing the bolts with my 30 Torx driver. As you'll see, I've actually put the pannier on a big cushion just to protect it, and I'm also doing the work on a mat, on a rug, because the last thing you want to be doing is scratching the surface of the panniers. Okay, so it's going so smoothly until I tried to get these 2 bolts out of here. The problem is this bulkhead here doesn't allow me to get the ratchet in there or the Torx driver. So I'm having to use a number 4 Allen Allen key. And it's really frustrating because you can only get sort of an 1/8 to a 1/4 of a turn each time. So yeah, it's as with all great plans, they don't always work out the way you anticipate. Anyway, I've got the back heat shield off, taken all the other screws, so I'm just working on these last 2 now. Okay, so I've actually got all the bolts out. That was a pain in the backside, removing those last 2 at the bottom. These now will come off, these 2 hangers, so I'll take them off. And the next job is to get this whole piece off and access into the key barrel. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is remove these 4 little screws, and then I'm going to these should just come away and then access into here. Okay, now we removed the two hangers. They just need to be pushed out that way. They take a bit of force, so don't be afraid. A bit of force, and then all that happens now is then that this item actually, unlike the last time, which took a bit of persuasion, has now come off, and as you can see, it gives us access in here to the locking mechanism. So let's look at that piece next. Okay, so the barrel is in here, the mechanism turns and moves this item here with the guide, and as it turns it pulls this locking mechanism left and right. So all I'm going to do now is remove 1, 2, 3 little holes, remove that off, put that to one side, and there's a collar nut that goes around the barrel. I'm going to remove that, and then we'll get on to taking the barrel out and replacing it. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Again, putting all the nuts and bolts, as you can see, into here. So don't lose any, and I've got a better idea of where they will come from. And where we're at now is that this piece here will just lift off. It's in two parts. There's a lug there which goes onto there, and you might be able to see there, inside there's a recess, and the profile and shape of that recess is the same as the top extrusion on the barrel. So that collar fits on top of there, and when that turns, that's what locks onto the barrel. So what I'm going to do now, put that to one side. I'm going to remove this bolt here, and I'm literally just going to use my long nose clippers, turn that, remove that, and then I'll show you the barrel when it's off. Okay, so I'm literally just going to, by hand, remove this nut. Okay. There's the nut, and the barrel is out. There we go. Okay, so hopefully this comes out. Inside there, you'll see a little, I don't know what you call it, a little noggin, I don't know what you call it, but that squeezes in. Hope you can see it better. And all I'm going to do is get a knife there, press it in, and then the barrel comes out. And there we go. So all I'm going to do now is get the new barrel and reverse the process. Put it in with the new key, click in, put that back into here with the locking nut, and reverse the process. So hopefully that's been of use. That was a little bit more difficult than I first thought. The other pannier that I did didn't have that bulkhead, so those two screws came out a lot easier. So that was a bit fiddlier using the Allen key. We got there in the end, put it all back in, got one key for both my bike and my panniers. And when I come to sell the bike, I can sell the panniers separately, swap the key barrels over again, and hopefully get at least 50% back from what I paid. Anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate this is only going to be useful for those with the Ducati Multistrada V4s with these panniers. So hopefully you'll find it a little bit helpful. Thank you very much for watching.